What's going on, everybody? This is Afro Think Tank. Today we are going to talk about all the breaking news that's happening with the Civil War that's happening in MAGA. All right, there's a lot going on. There's a lot of things happening, and sometimes I sit back and I won't make a video for a few days in order to absorb all the new information and to let things flush out before I start talking about them, right? Because a lot of people, they'll jump on a story and start talking about it without getting all the story, without letting the corroborated rating details or the secondary information come out, you know, or to let it sit and steep a little bit so we can make sure it's true or what the follow-up is going to be or whatnot. So this civil war that's happening with MAGA, which I knew it was going to happen, right, is now there is a new group that's emerging, and that group is called America First, right? More than likely you're going to start hearing stuff called America First Party, America, you know, versus MAGA, right? So what's going on now is Marjorie Taylor Greene, which was a staunch MAGA, right? And for right now, she's kind of sort of keeping the same energy, right? Which is surprising, right? Because the topic at hand supersedes politics. We're talking about children. We're talking about sexual assault of women. We're talking about basic human morality. We're talking about Christian values. We're talking about conservative Republican values. We're talking about real liberal and progressive democratic values. We're talking about real centrist independent value. We're talking everybody's values, right? Everybody has values that blend with each other, right? And this one value unites most people. Leave kids alone and don't be sexually abusing women, right? Sexual trafficking, slavery of human beings, right? Torture and murder, right? You can't get no worse than that, right? So Marjorie Taylor Greene, even though she is a barbaric, savage, Neanderthal racist, right? Keep in mind, everybody has their vices, the things that they separate themselves with, but you know, even you and your enemy will have something in common that y'all both can agree on, right? Now, this racist, Marjorie Taylor Greene, who is very pro-white superiority, right? She's realizing that all of her racist choices that she's made has been doing nothing but disenfranchising the people that she represents, right? Marjorie Taylor Greene represents the politician that emerges because the regular Republican was taking advantage of the decades upon decades of cultivated ignorance amongst the European American population. Marjorie Taylor Greene and people like her were never meant to be in politics. They were only meant to go vote based off what some white man in a suit said. People like her were never meant to have any kind of power or say in the real world, right? Now, you know, but because of the greed and the lack of foresight of the rich white globalist Republicans, right, who are both racist and globalist and classist at the same time, right, because of their greed and their disregard for these kind of people, because they don't care about them, they don't respect them. People like Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert, like these type of tokens they don't actually receive respect. There are tools being used by the smarter racists in suits, right? But lo and behold, they allow these individuals to get in there, right? And these people are ethno-nationalists, all right? They value, their white supremacy is concentrated in America. It's American white supremacy, not European, not global white supremacy, just American white supremacy, just American whites on top. F all other white people. They are not like us. That's what MAGA is saying, right? That's what they were saying, right? But the people that they continue to vote for and the people that they support without knowing anything about them, right? The people they allowed to educate them and to give them all their options, those people are, for the most part, they are globalists. They are global Nazis. They not only want to dominate, they need to dominate everybody, right? But they also unite with other white people because they're global white supremacists, right? They're not ethno-nationalists. They are white nationalists, global white nationalists, right? Right. So Donald Trump being a global white nationalist, right? And he's making all the global white nationalist decisions, right? Which is America's white nationalist foreign policy, right? Being allowed to manifest itself because there's no reasonable white people, no reasonable POCs, and no reasonable African Americans to counterbalance that within the apparatuses of government, because this global white supremacist government has fired all of them. All those black men and women who were working there, all those POCs, all those good allied professional whites that were working in these institutions, keeping common sense governance, the norm of the day, while keeping all the erratic crazies who make their way into these positions, right, keep them at bay. But now they're not at bay. They have the gauntlet. They got the whole thing, right? So the MAGA, right, who are now like the Marley Taylor Greene MAGA, has split into America First. Because keep in mind, it's America First. The whole reason they voted for Donald Trump is because he wants to America First, right? White America First, right? So that's happening on the political aspect. So you got MAGA, right? Then you got America First, which is a branch off MAGA. The ones who believe in ethno-nationalism, American whites above all, versus the other ones who you know, they still call themselves MAGA because they're still loyal to Donald Trump. They're like, whatever Trump say, good. Whatever anybody else who's not Trump say, bad. But they promote and they are supporting the group of Europeans, because, you know, our administration is a bunch of Europeans. They're not American, really. You know, they're not like foundational white Americans. These are white, these are Nazis. These are Germans, right? These are Germans getting their revenge from back when we were, you know, when we split Germany up and took advantage of them economically and crashed their economy and shit just to boost ours, right? So these Germans and these ancestors, the grandkids of those Germans, when they was on top, they sent their kids getting revenge, right? All this the same white people money running around. So you got global white supremacy versus American white supremacy, right? All of them hate niggas, right? All of them, these Spanish people was fix and fucking and criminal illegal aliens. All of them hate goddamn Arabs, and they're all a bunch of terrorists, desert dwelling land niggas, right? Asian people or women are just for play, and the men don't exist except for comic relief, right? All of this, they all have the same view of everybody else, but they have a different view on what white group is supposed to be on top, right? And so there's always been a thing in white nationalism, which is called Christian evangelical Christianity, American Christian evangelical Christians. You know, that's where the base of white supremacy, ethno-nationalism is. And the thing is, they may support Jews, but they don't really support Jews, right? So they need the Jews, they need the storyline to continue the way the book says in canon. They basically need the damn anime to follow the manga, all right, in order to get the result that they read in the manga, right? Which is the end of the world and the Jews being destroyed by Jesus Christ. But they need the Jews to survive, and they need the Antichrist to come along. They need the Jewish Antichrist to come along in order for Jesus to come back and destroy the Jews. So they only support the Jews in order to destroy the Jews later, you know, to bring upon, whatever the hell they believe, right? So it's always been kind of rocky because the Jews, obviously, you know, supposedly they killed the character of, you know, in the book, they killed Jesus. So, you know, Jews are supposed to be Christians, ops, right? So they not, and the Jews are still waiting for another guy like Moses to come along and be a warrior king. And so their attitude is more aggressive because they're looking for Moses to come and rape, murder, and pillage other people to give to their people, right? Which what they're doing currently right now. They have the Moses, mentality, right? Well, not Moses. They want a King David, right? They're looking for a King David type, right? Someone who would, because God told me to murder and rape and destroy, right? God told me to. That's what. That's how the Jews roll, right? Because Jesus ain't came. They looking for a warrior king, right? So as you can see, their attitude and posture culturally is like that of David and Solomon, like just doing whatever they want and then saying God said I can do that shit, right? And then getting a slap on the wrist or some shit, right, by God, but it's still being all yours, right? And then you got the Christians who, of course, everything on this planet, you know, belongs to them because God gave them everything. Gave them George Washington, gave them the Constitution, gave them country music, you know, all that shit, right? Jesus gave them all that shit, right? So they are sitting there like, hold the fuck up, right? You know, so the daggone Christian ones are like, hold up. Nah, we know with this Jew thing. The Jews are not white, but they are in fact white. They are Europeans from Europe. Just like these Europeans, most of these Americans who sitting there talking about America, the white European America, most of them from Europe. Most of these white people, that's the shit that's crazy. Most of these white people just got here 100 years ago. The majority of America was black until they exported a whole bunch of Europeans. Because there was a few Europeans, and those are the ones who was working for the corporations and companies, or the family members of the people working for those corporations, companies, right, who were facilitating or working in the market of slavery, right, in the apparatus of slavery, right. Other than that, there wasn't that many white folks over here. It was mostly black folks because we was the product. Black people were the first tradable item on the major stock exchange. Yeah, us, black people. We've always been the product. Black people are the product. Right? But so all these white people just came over here. You talking about World War I and II. That's why we have so many white people. And we got those white people who are saying, right, a lot of those white people who done gave up and don't care about Europe. They don't care about their ethnicity as far as Europe is concerned. Yeah, they like Vikings and shit. They take the pride of the Nazis. They like some of that stuff. But they believe as white Americans, they are better. They are superior. America is the homeland, the new homeland Jesus Christ gave to the white man because it has sun. Because nobody wants to go back to England because it's small, it's a fucking island, and it doesn't have a lot of sun. America is 1,000 times better than the UK. It's a massive upgrade for Europeans to switch from the UK to America. Massive, right? Massive. And so that's what has happened, right? So the white people, they don't care about England, France. They don't care about their actual ethnicity. They don't care about their real racial background. It's America, period. Sure, it's only been here for 200, damn near 300 years, but that's their shit. F everybody else. The other ones are like global white. They're the other ones, right, who are manipulating Donald Trump. They're like, look, we care about global white supremacy. That's why Donald Trump made that golden visa and the B1 visa. He wants rich white people to come to America. He doesn't care what ethnicity you are, right? Rich, right? Rich white people from any European place, right? And he will support them to come over here. As you can see, his policies benefit all white people in their colonies, including Venezuela. Argentina. Argentina is a European colony down there. Those are white people. Those people are white. They killed off the black and native populations for the most part and took over that place like they took over many other places. Don't ever let you think, those people are white down there, European. And a lot of Germans, are Nazis, moved to Argentina after World War II. A lot of them, right? A lot of them. If they didn't move to America, they moved to Argentina, all right? Pay attention to this. Global white supremacy, right? Which is really Germans. All right, let's just keep on. They still trying to take over the world, right? And, and Russia is the enemy of global white supremacy because they're ethno-nationalists, right? They just trying to, hold on to what they got and their resources, and they got some other shit going on with going the other direction, right? But then you got your street racists, right? You got your Nick Fuenteses battling the other Jewish conservative dude at Turning Point. Ben Shapiro. Now, Ben Shapiro represents the global white supremacists. He doesn't care about anything Trump talk about. He knows Trump is an idiot, but he knows Trump is a tool that can be used to push forward global white supremacist policies, right? He's a Jew, right? And he's all for, the destruction of brown people, black people. He's all for that, right? But it's for the benefit of the rich, well-to-do white person, which is the Jew, right? a lot of these Jews, they know they're not, they know they're white. What they do is they try to say, oh, I'm a non-practicing Jew. So that if you can be a non-practicing Jew, that means you can be a non-practicing Christian. Can you be a non-practicing Muslim? Right? Just like a lot of people who call themselves Arabs. It's like you're not Arab. You only call yourself Arab because you speak the language of Arabic, but you're really black, or you're European, or you're Asian, but you're not. There's no racial Arab. Arab is a language speaking ethnic group that we all mix up because they're a bunch of mixed black, Asian, and white mulattoes, right? So, and they all look the same, so we just call them Arabs because they speak it Muslim and they all light skinned, right? But most of them just, if they do their DNA, they part black, part Asian, and part goddamn European. They just the result of thousands of years of mixing and trading through the trade routes and wars of the European, Asian, and African. That's all they are, right? They don't have history because they are a product and a side effect of history. That's why they themselves, with a lack of true identity, are trying to steal and take from everybody else because they ain't got nothing to really look back to say it's theirs, because they are just, like I said, they're a product of everybody else, other great empires. They themselves, are just a bunch of, nomads. They're just there, right? But so you got Ben Shapiro, right, on one side, and he's still kind of like MAGA, but he's kind of, with Trump, because Trump's supporting and giving all the money to Israel, who really runs America, right, via corporations. He's giving all them the goddamn money and shit, while saying fuck you to the Americans who voted for him for ethno-nationalist policies of taking care of white Americans. Because here, all the money we done gave to Argentina, Israel, imagine if we would have took that money and did something for Americans. And white people are thinking, imagine if you would have took that money and did something for white European rural Americans who's struggling. Look what he did to the farmers. Look what he did to factory workers. Like most white Americans are poor. Like most of them are poor. They're on welfare. They out there in the Midwest and the West Coast because they was working them factory jobs. They was working them log cabins. They was in the mines and shit. The only reason they would use white folks is to go do that, to go gather the rich resources America had to offer, right? And then bring them to the coast, the coast, West Coast, East Coast, so they can be shipped off to various different countries. Now that those corporations in the middle of America have left because the resources are dried up, or maybe they found more profitable products to mine, they just left that place, right? And so you got all these communities in the middle of America, right, that's built with all these white folks that thought they had the promise of an America that was going to take care of them. All they had to do is work hard for those corporations, right? And they will be promised a good life. But those corporations don't give a fuck about them, and they have left, right? So now you got all these goddamn communities in the middle of America. The lifeblood of those communities were the companies and the jobs that were created out there for those very same resources. But when the resources are not when the companies leave, you got infrastructure and you got people there for no reason. That's why the middle of America is dying. That's why white people can't afford shit, because the America that they once knew when shit was sweet is gone, because the corporations that they trusted. Keep in mind, Republicans and white Americans by default support corporations. They support businesses. They support these institutions because they believe that's the lifeblood of America. They believe that's capitalism. Yes, American, that's patriotism. But in fact, they support wholeheartedly those corporations that look at them as nothing but a number. They're just a digit. They're just a point, a number on a spreadsheet, right? They're overhead, right? I said all that patriotism and all that goodwill and all that community, all that stuff is just advertising to get you to work for them when they need you to work. Once they don't need you, they don't give a fuck about you, right? So all the white Americans have to deal with the reckoning of that. And because African Americans have always lived under that discrimination, because not only have those same global white supremacists foreign policy towards Africa, it's the same policy they have towards African Americans, right? Because they treat us like they treat Africans, right? As in, Africa is a commodity. Africa is a place for resources. The African community is a commodity. The African community is a place for resources. That's why America built all of its culture, all of its advertisement, everything is built out of what they can squeeze and pull out of the African American community, right? But they want to make sure that we stay where we are and we don't advance utilizing the things that we create, develop, and build, right? They want to develop and build their white Wakandans based off what they can squeeze out of us, right? Same ways they do as Africa, right? So if you want to know what they're doing in Africa, what's the white supremacist American government doing to the black communities? It's a nationalistic form of our foreign policy, is what we do and what white people do on a national scale to African countries and people groups globally, right? So, but the thing is, all of that's crumbling. All of that shit's crumbling. White supremacists in America are losing their power because their daughters are going against their fathers, right? Their daughters are going on purpose to find black men to have babies with. There's a movement of white people who don't want to be white. They don't want to be associated with white culture. They believe that the white culture that permeates in America is toxic and they don't want nothing to do with it. They are trying to build a new culture. So white people are fighting half of their population that just wants to be human. They wants to move on. They don't believe in segregation. They don't believe in discrimination and racism. So that's a major part of their population that's moving towards POCs and black people. They're gone because the way they see the investment in their family future is to become black, to become brown, to become a part of the melanated world, and to get rid of their white genetic DNA. That's what they're doing. There is a movement of white people doing that shit, both men and women. So white people are purging that direction. They're also purging because they are very interested in fentanyl and drugs that take you out, right? And they do that more than most people. So they do that, right? They also are depressed because they don't deal with their mental illness as they project their mental illness onto everybody else. And they cause international freaking situations and domestic situations and terrorist activity because they don't process the guilt that they have culturally of the things that they do, that they benefit from, that they don't know how to do anything else, right? So they're depressed as a group of people, so they take themselves out either recreationally with drugs, or they take themselves out with a weapon or something like that. They do reckless jobs. They do reckless activities. They do a lot of reckless anti-life things, right? So you have the purge happening in that direction. Then you got the racists who like, yeah, white supremacy, but then you got the super racists like, yeah, global white supremacy versus the domestic racists, no, America. And you got those two groups fighting, right? And then so here's the funny part. So regular white supremacy is so down bad, right? American ethno-national white supremacy is so down bad that your two top white supremacists are Mexican Italian, Nick Fuentes, and an African American woman, Candace Owens. Think about this shit. Nick Fuentes is a Mexican. His last name, think about this, Fuentes. He's a Mexican, right? One of white American racists' biggest enemies, right? Mexicans, and Italian, one of America's or white people that they don't really consider white. You're a nigga, like you half white nigga and half Mexican. Is the goddamn leader of the Goipers, who is the white supremacist movement. Right? Non-violent white supremacist movement. Ethno-nationalist white supremacist movement is a Mexican Italian. And a goddamn black woman named Candace Owens. That's how damn bad ethno-nationalist white supremacy is. Right? And then you got global white supremacy. They got goddamn Turning Point USA. They got goddamn institutions and shit. They got all kind of shit. Billionaires and millionaires manipulating us in order to make themselves even richer so they can buy planets and shit. Because I guess, I mean, what can you buy after buying a yacht, building a new yacht, buy a planet? They buying planets. They're going to start selling themselves planets and shit and asteroids and shit. They're going to claim that shit as theirs somehow. They're going to have a fucking title and everything. Right? So this damn battle, and they're cannibalizing each other. And black folks is just sitting back watching. We're like, wow. It's about time we black folks can watch them and do these type of things online so we can be entertained by their debauchery. Let us be entertained by their white on white problems. Right? I'm watching this shit the same way they watch us. Because they're destroying themselves. This is what happens. They're destroying themselves. And I'm here for it. We don't have to do anything but keep being who we are. Keep living. We'll win the day without even trying. We just got to keep on waking up every day and doing the best we can in our own lives. And watch them. Watch their program. Watch what it is they do. Watch their government. Watch all the things that they consider superior. Watch how inferior it is. Watch how inferior it is compared to other ways of living. And eventually it'll be gone, and somebody's going to write a book about it. Right? The people that lived in the era of those people. Anyway, you guys tell me what you think in the comment section. This is Afro Think Tank. Learn something, teach something. I'm out.
Well, breaking fuck the news. Good morning and happy Saturday. The dissent among the MAGA ranks has risen to the all-time of highs. President Trump rejects longtime ally Marjorie Taylor Greene as MAGA civil war continues. President Donald Trump calls his longtime ally Marjorie Taylor Greene a ranting lunatic and accused her of going far left as their rift deepens over the release of the Epstein files. Trump tore into the Georgia Republican Friday evening after she accused the White House of a huge miscalculation in brushing off the latest attempts to release the files. I understand that the wonderful conservative people are thinking about primarying Marjorie in her district of Georgia, that they too are fed up with her and her antics. If the right person runs, they will have my complete and unyielding support, Trump wrote on True Social. Greene called the president's actions with the files astonishing and accused Trump of coming after her to make an example to scare all the other Republicans from voting for more Epstein disclosures. I have supported President Trump with too much of my precious time, too much of my own money, and fought harder for him even when almost all the other Republicans turned their backs and denounced him, she wrote next, but I do not worship or serve Donald Trump. I'll keep you updated with more.
Earlier attacked Marjorie Taylor Greene, and tonight the Republican congresswoman is responding directly to the president after he said he's pulling his endorsement over her recent criticisms of his administration. Listen to what Marjorie Taylor Greene just responded a few moments ago after the president said he didn't have time to take her call every single day, referring to her as a lunatic. Here's what MTG had to say. President Trump just attacked me and lied about me. I haven't called him at all, but I did send him these text messages today. Apparently, this is what sent him over the edge, the Epstein files. And of course, he's coming after me hard to make an example to scare all the other Republicans before next week's vote to release the Epstein files. Marjorie Taylor Greene says it's astonishing, really, how hard he's fighting to stop the Epstein files from coming out, that he actually goes to this level. She goes on to say, I have supported President Trump with too much of my precious time, too much of my own money, and fought harder for him even when almost all of the Republicans turned their back and denounced him. But I don't worship or serve Donald Trump. Marjorie Taylor Greene says, for me, I remain America first and America only. A political feud unlike any other, and probably one that
we have some major news right now. The Republican Party is facing an internal civil war. Something that not many major media companies are talking about, but really is impacting the direction of the conservative movement. And there is more fracturing within the Republican Party, but also now publicly, than I think we've seen in a long time. So this dates back to Tucker Carlson, Nick Fuentes, and the Heritage Foundation. Those are the three big players right now behind the scenes that it's now spilled over publicly. Tucker Carlson, as you know, is a former Fox News host, now has his own media channels. He's very far right. Nick Fuentes, if you don't know who that is, he's a white nationalist. He's one of the individuals that met with Kanye West and Donald Trump at Mar-a-Lago while Donald Trump was running for a second term. Remember that? Well, Nick Fuentes and Tucker Carlson have been at odds with one another publicly and privately, but recently Tucker Carlson invited Nick Fuentes on his show. Nick Fuentes, a known...
If you grab Ben Shapiro by his tiny little hat and said, hey, fucker, are you more loyal to America or Israel? In his heart, he knows the answer is Israel, but it's the answer that he can dare not say, so he would simply call the question anti-Semitic.
I tweeted to Ben Shapiro. I said, you know, I've never seen anything on the Daily Wire that's actually critical of Israel. And he quote tweets me. And at this time, I have 1,000 followers on Twitter.
How old are you?
I'm 18. I'm a freshman.
Still a freshman in college, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And this is even before I started my show. And I don't know, I probably got 100 likes on this tweet. It wasn't a viral tweet. He quote tweets me and says, to accuse a Jew of dual loyalty is the surest sign of anti-Semitism. And like, this is how it sort of begins. And I see this tweet. And by the way, that was on Christmas Eve in 2016.
He immediately called you an anti-Semite.
Mm-hmm. So I'm driving to Christmas Eve Mass with my family. And I see on Twitter, the notification comes up, Ben Shapiro quote tweets me, calling me an anti-Semite. And I was like, what is this? Like, why is this guy attacking me? You know, because I don't have a platform at this time. I'm not an influential guy or anything. And so then I put out another tweet similar. I said something like, if you're China first, you should live in China. If you're Mexico first, you should live in Mexico. If you're Israel first, maybe you should go live in Israel. And again, he quote tweets me and says, you're an anti-Semite.
That same night?
This was, I think, a couple weeks later. Happened a little bit further down the line. And so...
Were you surprised that he knew you were?
Yeah, I was. I was surprised at why he cared.
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking, how does he even know who I am or what I'm about? And it turned out that Cassie Dillon, she had texted him earlier and she wanted him to take me under his wing. She texted him after that debate and said, you know, you really like this guy. He's amazing. He did this great debate. She goes, but he's a little too pro-Trump. He's a little too Trumpy. And he goes, I'll take a look. And so I guess the two of them were kind of like grooming me in a sense. They wanted me to go maybe and be a Daily Wire, or maybe looking me as a potential conservative activist or influencer. And so they started paying attention to me, and the more critical of Israel I was, I started to get this really intense pushback from the both of them and from a lot of the people at Daily Wire.
Is Ben, Tucker, Megan, Nick, Candace, I think Megan can pull this off. I think Megan could pull this off to bring this together. I think Megan's a boss. She's tough. She's strong. And she's been around. The reason why I think she's the one that could pull it off is because she was the face. She was like, she killed it on Fox, crushed, and she's doing great with her podcast. So she has the mainstream and the podcast victory. I think Megan could pull off something like this to bring everyone together. Because at this point of the game, you know, Ben's, you know, of course he's going to be loyal to Israel. That's what he is. He's very proud of his heritage. FYI, you ought to be proud of your heritage. I don't sit there, I'm like, well, when I say Daily Jewish Wire or Daily whatever I call the Israeli Wire, I do think that's his priority. I don't say that as in a...
Like an insult.
No, I say, listen, I'm a Syrian Armenian. Okay? I'm a Syrian and Armenian. I'm a proud Assyrian. I'm a proud Armenian. But, you know, born in Iran, made in America, without America, I don't have the life that I have today. Are you kidding me? But I understand some of the affinity. I understand if Nick goes after, you know, Tucker's dad, you know, Tucker's going to invite him to say, hey, man, listen, this is one thing I don't like when you go after my dad. His dad's his hero. I understand Tucker. But I also understand Nick, who's on the outside, is like, you guys not going to give me attention? I'm going to effing come after you guys like a freaking gangster, and I'm going to pull up a Tupac, hit him up. I'm going to destroy all of you guys. That's Nick. Nick is Tupac. So what do you want to do? What do you want to do? You want to do East Coast, West Coast type of situation? Is that what you want? Really? Is that what you want? Because I think right now what Ben talked about is he's spending millions of dollars a year on security. Why? Who's creating it? Who's causing it? This isn't healthy. I don't, you know, this isn't healthy. So for me, I love the debate. Keep the debate. I love all of that stuff. But
did you see what Megan said about this?
No, what did she say?
She addressed this. She actually had Matt Walsh on her podcast. They spoke for a full-on hour.
And what was the consensus? What did they say?
So it was very interesting because she says, I'm friends with Ben Shapiro. I'm friends with Tucker Carlson.
She's the right person.
And then she's speaking with Matt Walsh of the Daily Wire. It was very interesting, his perspective. You know what he said?
Yeah.
About Ben, Israel, whatever. He goes, yeah, I don't care. I care about America. That's my opinion. That's been my position for 10 years. He goes, I don't care.
So then for me.
But Megan is, I think, someone that can pull this off.
I think Megan is somebody that can pull this off because Megan has Tucker's respect. That's why. Because Tucker respects the fact that Megan made it on cable, TV, and made it at podcasting. And she's a formidable face. She was a moderator. Trump, hey, you've said a lot of different things about women. No, only Rosie O'Donnell. That's not true. That's not true. So, yeah, I don't know. I just think, you know, if you go like this and the infighting continues, congratulations, you handed them 2026. And if it continues and you think oh, a person, how mentally, emotionally tough and a gangster you have to be to come back and win 2024 election. There's only one guy that could have pulled that off, and it's the guy that won, and he's the president today. You think that guarantees 2028?
No.
Hell no. No. So, welcome.
Yep.
And by the way, to Ben Shapiro's camp that this is probably going to be sent to, 8,000 people voted. 68% said he's the one that doesn't want to sit down with Tucker. And our audience is fairly fair, is what they are. So there you go. I don't know. Maybe
fairly fair.
No,
I just
I
said
think they're
fairly
pretty
fair.
fair. They're fairly
Yeah.
fair. But Pat, great points. And you just it just hit me that what you're talking about this, the Mamdani effect and all that stuff. Republicans are all over the freaking map, and there's the way that you just said it. If they don't come to try in any situation, the midterms are not blue. Wait, it's gonna go to freaking Democrats. And then how fast is 2028 gonna come? And Gavin Newsom just sitting at the top, waiting for this shit.
Welcome
Sorry for my
to
language.
the White House,
He's
President
waiting.
Gavin Newsom.
He is doing it intentionally. I'm not saying that you scared me, but you just made me go, oh my God. They're all fighting because who are all those people going to tell you to vote for? Let's say the presidency comes up. One's going to tell you to go this way. Somebody's going to tell you to go this way. The one guy that's pro-Israel, they're going to say go this way. It's going to be so splintered, and sitting and waiting in the wings is Gavin Newsom going, hey,
of course.
I love this is that they're all Hitler, they're all Nazis. Open the border. Come on, guys, let's go back. That's not.
I agree with the point that
Jeez.
the Republican Party and the conservative movement. I mean, never mind Republican Party. Conservatism in America and the conservative movement does need unity. A week and a half ago, before the election, who do we see doing photo ops together? AOC, Bernie, and Chuck, right?
Walking
Walking down the street, and wasn't there all three of them walking down the street in Chuck shirt sleeves?
Yeah.
People
Cool.
of the people, like this. Why? Do you think Chuck agrees with Bernie? No,
absolutely
they're
not.
mortal enemies. Chuck undermined Bernie so much in 16 and 20.
Yep.
Absolutely did. And so do you think AOC and Chuck are friends? No.
I don't.
There's been people saying that she's going to primary
She's
him
gonna
and
get
she's
him out.
going after the next level seat if she doesn't run. And then do you see that AOC and Bernie are perfectly aligned? No,
Nope.
She's too much of a lightning rod on the outside. He's actually stayed where he is. But why are they all walking together, talking nice together? Because they know what unity was needed, and their enemy was the loss they took last November. And so the conservatives need unity. We don't need MTG running for president over here like Ross Perot. We don't need this divisiveness that's here. I agree with that point, that we need the unity and someone needs to do it. And, Pat talking about that maybe Megan could step it up. I think there's other people that could do it too, but we got to get people together on the core things.
Yeah, we're
Make the
outsiders.
core
Tom. Let me
things
tell you
the
what
core
I've learned.
things.
Let me tell you what I've learned at this point. We're outsiders, and I love it. You have no idea how much I love it. That none of them are like, who are these guys? The same way Ben feels about us is the same way Tucker feels about us. But the difference is, by the way, both of them have had me on. I've had Ben on the show 11 years ago. Never had Tucker on. But both sides are like, who are these guys? And I love it. I'm comfortable with this role. We're not trying to sit here and, when I was coming up in insurance, it's the same exact story every single time. Who the F is this Middle Eastern guy with no college degree coming up taking market share away from us? Who are you? Every year we'd go to the insurance conference. It was like this. Who are you? Oh, my God. Get out of here. Get out of here. And then all of a sudden, boom. Oh, shoot. No, we actually love the industry, and we actually respect you guys. We respect the hell out of you guys that you guys built a business. We admire what you've done. We admire a lot of these guys, what they've done over the years, but we have our own set of opinions. And we're fair, we're respectful, but at the same time, to me, it's very simple. If I don't have a relationship with them ever for the rest of my life, I'm okay as long as America is winning.
Yep.
If that's the role we're going to play, we're going to continue playing that role. We're not somebody that's going to sit there and be like, come on, we're going to do this. Nope. We've had plenty of great experiences, and we have very good relationship with a lot of people. I also understand the fact that for some people, they're more uncomfortable. Why? 1 minute they're here, 1 minute they're there. They'll call this person up, but they'll call that person up. They'll have Netanyahu, but they'll have Nick Fuentes. Yeah, we will talk to everybody. Period. And I know you're not going to like it. And I'm okay with it. I made a video the other day with the idea that I'm talking about. I think they need to do XYZ with, I think Israel has a bad brand right now because of how horrible of a job they're doing marketing as the only child. Mm-hmm. And I said, trust me, no one's going to like my idea on both sides. And guess who hated the idea? Both sides hated the idea, right? And guess what? I like that both of you don't like the idea. We will gladly play in this role of just going up here, gladly, and continue to do our part. But God willing, Megyn Kelly's going to make that phone call and host an event and have everybody there. I think she can play the role of a glue. And there's a handful of other guys I would nominate that can pull that off, but I think she's the head that can pull that off. I really think she's the head that can pull that off and get everybody in. And by the way, bring Steven Crowder. He's coming back, and I like the new Crowder.
Yep.
Bring him back. He's back to realizing who he is and what he was doing. Let's not forget, at one point, Crowder was the guy, and a lot of people remember when he was the guy, and he went through a bad season. But I'm kind of glad that he's got his mojo back, and he's playing ball. He's a very, very formidable voice.
He's a beast.
So I would include him in that as well.
For sure.
And but anyways.
He's criticized all those guys too, by the way.
Listen, just think about us as a consultant. That's who we are. We're just a consultant, is what we do. You can go to beddavid.com, literally, to learn more about what we do for clients from 60-plus countries, 10,000 businesses, a business nobody knows that we have, except for the people that we do engagements for and strategy sessions for.
By the way, 2026 is right around the corner. If you got big plans for 2026 and you've never written a business plan out, or you've written it, but it's not properly structured, you want some structure for it, that's why I wrote this book, Choose Your Enemies Wisely. If you haven't read it yet, click on a link below, place an order.
So if you want a signed copy of Choose Your Enemies Wisely, it's never a better time to read a book on business planning. Right now is the time. Go to vtmerch.com. Rob, we'll put the link below if you don't mind. We'll Choose Your Enemies Wisely right there, signed, as well as the other copies of the books that we have. And on top of that, Rob, also put the link to Business Planning Workshop. I would do both if I were you. Read the book, then attend the Business Planning Workshop. But we're looking forward to 2026. Last night, we were at this America Business Forum. I was on stage with Brett Baer, and we're watching all the people that are there. The types of business owners, Jeff Bezos, Jamie Dimon goes before me, and then Steve Witkoff is there. Yeah. Then you have Serena Williams literally goes right after me, and then
Rafael Nadal was there, Messi was there.
Trump was there yesterday. Unbelievable. By the way, everybody in that place was talking about what's going to be happening in 2026. So a lot of people behind closed doors are ecstatic about 2026. If you want to get some of those strategies, register for Business Planning Workshop. Go to bpw.beddavidconsulting.com. If you enjoyed this video, you want to watch more videos like this, click here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click here.
Tucker Carlson preys on the friendship he proclaims with others, and then he knifes them directly between the shoulder blades when convenient for him. Tucker Carlson is, in short, a terrible friend. Tucker Carlson was supposedly Charlie Kirk's friend. Charlie believed that Nick Fuentes was vermin. That's a direct quote. He believed that because Nick Fuentes dedicated his life to destroying Charlie Kirk and TPUSA from the inside.
So first and foremost, the idea that in order for you to show that you're a good friend of somebody, you have to agree not to host people on your platform from conversations is just so anti-Charlie, it's unbelievable. And it is simply a fact, which I feel comfortable sharing now, that Charlie and Ben Shapiro did not get along. Because Charlie found out that Ben was operating behind the scenes to stop him and sort of hinder the growth of Turning Point USA in our early days. And I have only about 80 to 150 text messages from Charlie to that effect. This is not a debate, by the way. This is a fact. So challenge me to share the messages. I will gladly. Ben was in part upset because I made a joke about him when I appeared on Joe Rogan back in 2018.
I know these types in school. Like I was in their classes, you know, like they're just like, you're like late to school, and like the last person you want to see is like the hall monitor, like, you know, like, the idea like that you would be late, right? Yeah. Like he's writing you a pink slip. It's like, Ben, just give me the pink slip, dude. Like, you know, like that just give it to me, Ben. All right, like.
Lighthearted joke. Obviously, the story goes, Charlie stuck with me despite Ben's urging. We kept climbing. We reached a point where as a team, Charlie and I were suddenly undeniable. Charlie's perspective was just laugh and move on. We get the invite to be on Ben Shapiro's show, and I'm like, no, F that. He was so awful to us. And Charlie's like, no, it's great. Let's do it because we won. Okay, we won, Candace. And I'm like, okay, fine. We get to the location, I think it was in Sherman Oaks, California, and Charlie says to me, we're in the green room, hey, when we take a photo with him, I'm gonna puff my chest out and stand extra tall so we never forget this moment of us having triumphed over Ben Shapiro. And he actually does it, and it was completely hilarious. And this is actually the photo from that. Charlie did that totally on purpose. It was such a Charlie Kirk thing to do, and it became like our perfect inside joke every time we felt like he was kind of saying little things about us. And that was Charlie. That was just the spirit of Charlie. And he moved on from it. He was always cordial beyond that. He never felt any nastiness. The point of me sharing this, though, is to make it very clear that Charlie loved Tucker. Charlie was not in love with Ben Shapiro. He didn't hate Ben Shapiro. He just, I would say, experienced Ben Shapiro. Despite this, He always, as I said, kept it cordial because that's who he was as a person. But what I will not allow is this absolute inversion of reality where Ben Shapiro becomes any sort of voice on who is and who is not betraying their friendship with Charlie. I will not allow it.
In case you've not been on the internet, you might have missed that the right is most definitely splitting into two factions. America First and MAGA might seem like one and the same, but they're really not. People that are America First might say, make America great again, but they actually mean it. People claim to want a revolution, but they don't want to think revolutionary thoughts. They don't want to think outside of the box. Sometimes that means you need to get rid of the cancer. You need to get rid of your friend that's actually sleeping with your husband behind your back. That's not your friend. People seem to be getting upset because they think this is going to make the right weaker, but at the end of the day, the America First people are the only people that actually have the love, drive, and passion to save this place, because in case you've missed the memo, nobody else is doing it, okay? But I want to know, what do you think down below? Do you agree with me, or do you think that they're one and the same and I don't know what I'm talking about? Let me know. Love you.
Currently a coordinated attack going on against Tucker Carlson from all the usual suspects. You've got the gay twins and Officer Tatum and Josh Hammer, Mark Levin. It's all Tucker Carlson is not MAGA. Tucker Carlson is not MAGA. And you know what? Even though he gave a decade of his life to supporting Donald Trump and supporting the MAGA movement and probably had a huge part in getting him elected, you're right. He is no longer MAGA. I'm no longer MAGA. There's a lot of people that are no longer MAGA because America First and MAGA became different movements. And that's unfortunate. We wanted America First from Trump. We wanted America First to be a part of MAGA. That's no longer a thing. So if you've gone and you've kissed the wall and you've put the little hat on and you're okay with the AIPAC money and you probably take a little money yourself, we don't care about your opinion. Tucker Carlson was one of the biggest MAGA influencers out there until he sat down and had a real America First conversation, and now all of a sudden he's thrown out. Imagine that. So we're not surprised. It is what it is. But unfortunately, MAGA and America First have become separate movements, officially, and they have been for a while.
So my parents cut me off for supporting Donald Trump. My family disowned me. My cousins don't speak to me. I'm alone in this world, but you know, it's cool. I'm still going to fight for what I believe in.
Why is it that when you ask some black folks on the Trump train why they support him, the first thing they do is trash black people? It's never about policy. It's not about strategy. It's black people are lazy. Y'all love being victims. Democrats keep y'all on the plantation. Really? Your support can't even stand on its own. It has to stand on the backs of your own people. You talk about free thinking, but all you're doing is repeating white conservative talking points that were never made for you, just marketed at you. You call it freedom, but it looks a lot like performance. And this whole colorblind thing, it's a lie. Because the moment y'all show up with Blacks for Trump shirts and photo ops, suddenly race matters again. Suddenly your blackness is useful as long as it's obedient. But when we talk about redlining, mass incarceration, underfunded schools, generational poverty, now you want to pretend none of this is real? See, you can support whoever you want, but if your support requires you to downplay or deny the truth of being black in America, then it's not support, it's submission. And here's the question you can't answer. What has Trump actually done for you? Not what has he said, not what has he promised. What has he done tangibly, specifically for you or our community? I'll wait. Because while you're busy defending him, he's too busy defending January 6 criminals, calling for political revenge and protecting billionaires. He's not thinking about you. So again, support who you want, but don't sell your soul trying to be accepted by people who only value you when you're quiet, compliant, and useful. And again, don't forget to ask yourself, what has Trump done for you anyway?
Hi guys, welcome back again to the YouTube channel. It's so good to have you. Thank you so much for clicking. When you saw this video, so a lot of people actually calling out this, Blacks for Trump and how the role that they all played. When we talk about palm-colored people, somehow we still need to call out our own, because these guys actually are also part of the reason why everyone is why they are today. Okay, even though some of them are regretting it, but yeah, they actually voted for this. They stood behind it, or they went for the campaigns and all of that, and yet Now that the whole thing is happening, they are now looking for community. Some of them are going through tough time right now and now looking for their own black community to help them speak out and cry out and all of that. Well, I have other clips I've gathered for you guys. I'll come back with the commentary. Please let me know what you all think in the comment section, and credit to our creators on this video. Let's go watch, then I'll come back with more commentary.
Only thing more embarrassing than MAGA is black MAGA. Damn. Y'all really out there shucking and driving for free. Y'all is not getting put in the positions. Y'all are not being helped. You guys are being ignored, used as tokens, because that's what y'all are. And it's like, I don't even give a fuck. It's unfortunate.
If you have a child in an HBCU, listen to me and listen to me good. The black MAGA Trumper.
I've come to the conclusion that the new civil war will not be between black people and white people. It won't even be people of color versus white people. It will be groypers versus MAGA. They're literally eating themselves. It will be conservatives versus MAGA. This is insane. And it's crazy because every time they get mad, they stare at us, waiting for us to do something. And we're just like on the sideline like, we minding our own business. We have nothing to do with y'all beef. Whew. More power to them.
Let me tell you something right now. Let me tell you something right now. Let me tell you something right now. At the end of the day, I will fuck you up. And I'm trying to be the bigger person, even though you clearly...
Ain't nobody trying to argue with you all damn day, bro. Shut the fuck up. Damn.
Free Sudan. Boycott diamonds and gold. Free Sudan. Boycott diamonds and gold. We most definitely cannot forget about the people of Sudan.
Thanks for watching Afro Think Tank. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And follow me on Substack and Patreon for more content. Remember, it's Pan-Africanism or nothing.